Hey everyone, this is TommyNaysh,
And Gabe Gaming.
and this is the G.E.S.T Podcast where we talk about gaming, esports, streaming, and technology. We have a huge lineup here this week for episode 3, where we talk about the PS5 showcase that happened over the week, and let's just say the Call of Duty Alpha was a huge success and a lot of fun.
Big news on
And
AMD Navi, new NVIDIA leaks as well for the 3090, so we got that coming as well.
And we got some esports news and streaming news thrown in there as well. This is mainly going to be focused on the gaming section today just because of all the news that came out.
Yeah, a lot of huge
But
news with PS5 and Xbox and stuff, so.
let's just hop right into it. So the PS5 showcase happened on Wednesday, and it gave us a lot of details of what we're about to expect, including pre-orders gone haywire and
Yeah.
some titles that we weren't expecting being announced. So it was a huge topic, huge controversy going on here. Let's start off with some of the games that are coming out for the PS5, and I think that one of the biggest ones that they mentioned at the very end of the conference was God of War.
Yeah, that's ginormous. Like, everyone loved the last God of War game, and so saying that there's going to be a new one, and I don't know if it's on launch. I don't think so, but I think it'll be shortly after, and that like that's just phenomenal. Like, announcing a game that good, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I think the God of War isn't coming till 2021 or 2022, but
Yeah,
it is
2021.
spoiler alert here. If you played the God of War on PS4 at the very end, uh, Thor kind of comes down from the, what would you call it, the heavens, and 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 in the teaser trailer they say Ragnarok's coming. So I mean, this is going to be huge. He's telling his boy he's got to prepare himself for what's to come, and I can't be more excited for this title.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty good. And Horizon Forbidden West now is also gonna be a 2021 launch title as well as God of War. So we got at least two really good games we're looking forward to in 2021, which is promising to see that they're not shooting every good game out at launch. Because it's like,
Yeah.
oh man, like I just bought the 5 best PS5 games right away, and what do I have to expect now for the next year? You know what I mean? So
That being said, there are some good games that are coming out for launch, such as Spider-Man Miles Morales. I don't know if you played the original one on the PS4, but I thought it
nope.
was actually one of the best games. I even have the Spider-Man PS4 Pro. So that game's kind of what got me into PS4 as much as I am now, just because of the limited edition there, and I just really wanted to play that game, and it made me expand into other PlayStation exclusives at the time.
I played the earlier ones that were like, the other games that weren't on PS4 type thing, and
Yeah,
when the swinging mechanics were on point, it was like, dude, I don't even have to be doing any missions. I just swinging around the city. Mwah.
exactly.
It's so fun. Like, there's nothing more entertaining than that.
And that's one of the things that they actually perfected in the most recent Spider-Man title was just the aerial and traveling mechanics through freaking slinging your webs, and it was so fluid. In the very beginning of the Spider-Man game, you hop out of your apartment through the fire escape and you just go swinging along, and it just turns into the game, and you're like, wait, I'm actually playing this right now,
The
because of
feeling of
just how
momentum
fluid it
is
was.
is so good. Like when you actually feel like you're swinging, and they've perfected that. And this is going to be a holiday launch, 2020, obviously, and it also has a PS4 version. So if you're not grabbing a PS5 right away, you still will be able to play it on your PS4.
Yeah, that's something that we definitely have to talk about too. I mean, PS5 games being able to be played on PS4. So I mean, we'll get further into that. Actually, I'm not gonna go there yet because I really
Soon
want
though.
to. But there's some other games coming out for PS5 on launch, like Demon Souls. This is a remake, based off of the old Demon Souls back in. Geez, I wish I had the date here, but that was
I
before
don't know
Dark
either.
Souls. It was before the Dark Souls days, and it looks like it's absolutely amazing if you watch the gameplay trailer for that.
I've seen the PS3 footage and played it a little, but I haven't seen any of the PS5 stuff, and I'll definitely have to take a look after the show because that is huge news, and people love that game, man. Like,
Oh
it's
yeah,
it's so weird because like Bloodborne, Demon Souls, Dark Souls, etc. they're like difficult games if you're
Hmm.
not an expert in that genre. And even though they are difficult and punishing, people still love it. They're like, man, this is like awesome. Even though you're getting like destroyed by this boss 70 times straight before you finally beat him, right?
But that's the thing about Dark Souls games. They basically developed their own genre called Souls likes, and now there's tons of them. And one of the things is you don't really find games that are as challenging as Dark Souls, and people want that in
Yep.
their life.
Yep.
So they're willing to play these games and be challenged, and just it just feels so good when you beat a boss or get to the next area or even beat the game. I mean, I personally haven't beat a Dark Souls game in my life. I do plan on it because I have them all on Steam. I played them very minorly, but I do want to actually go through and play a game, or play the three of them, I should say, Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, from start to finish, just because I want to be able to experience that feeling of completing such a challenging game like that.
What I think is the most satisfying is not beating like the hardest boss or something. It's when you're playing and you've realized like, oh man, I haven't died in a while. Like I'm actually doing pretty good. You know,
Yeah.
like these enemies, they're tough, but I've like gotten good enough at the parry mechanic now where when they go to hit me, I can parry and then like, do my critical hit on them, or I can loop around and go behind them and now backstab, and there's a lot of like different mechanics that give you more satisfying feelings than just killing an enemy, like when you actually hit that parry, which has a pretty small window, you're like, "Oh man, I just actually destroyed that guy. No chance." Like too good.
And that being said, when you said like a good feeling of is if you haven't died in a while, it feels even better when you hit that next campfire, because then you're like,
Oh, so many
oh
holes.
shit, we got a checkpoint. The checkpoints are not very close together in the Dark Souls game, so you have to really fight to get to the next ones.
Yeah, and we have some other news about Gran Turismo 7. It's going to be a not a launch title, no release date yet, but that's exciting. Ratchet and Clank, the new game, that is incredibly exciting. So, a big thing for Ratchet and Clank is the load times between worlds are supposedly instant, and they showed that in the
Yeah.
trailer when Ratchet is going through different dimensions, which is instantly loading new worlds that he's flying through. And I think a big part of why that's in the game is because they wanted to use that as a tech showcase. And these levels loaded full detail instantaneously as he was going through. Crazy stuff. And a lot of big talk that they're going to be using the enhanced DualSense controller features, like the haptic feedback and stuff, for features
Yeah.
in the game. So if that's done really well, that'll be awesome. But if not, then kind of like a gimmick.
So that's like one of the things about this Ratchet and Clank game is it really uses the new SSD like architecture for this PS5, that wouldn't be available for the PS4. So if we go back to saying these games are playable on PS5, PS4, Ratchet and Clank's probably going to be one of those games that are not playable on the PS4 just because of how fast they switch between worlds in that game.
Yeah, it would definitely hinder the level design, I think, if you didn't have that kind of speed, right? Because they can't load things at the same rate, like not even close. Like it's not even a competition. It's
Hmm.
nowhere near it.
So there's actually a ton of games that are going to be coming out for the PS5 that they talked about. I mean, we have Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. That comes out a day after the PS5 releases.
Yep.
So hey, if you get your hands on a PS5, you can preload that Call of Duty Cold War and get ready to play it at midnight that night. And bada boom, bada bing. One of the things about this Call of Duty is you can buy the next generation upgrade bundle for 10 extra dollars, so you're paying $70. But if you have a PS4 and you can't quite get your hands on a PS5 yet, you can play it on the PS4. When you get the PS5, you instantly have it because you bought the next gen bundle.
Better, way
That
better than buying the game twice.
Yeah, I mean, I would pay $10 to do that any day.
Yeah. It's a bit of a smaller game, if you can even call it a game. The Astros Playroom. It's a thing that's coming preloaded onto the PS5, so everyone can play it. And I suggest you do because it kind of gives you a tutorial of how the new DualSense controller works. And
Yeah, I
there's
was gonna say that's basically like an interactive
Yeah.
tech showcase on
Like,
what your PS5 is made of, basically.
if anyone's ever played Oculus, like the VR headset and stuff, like they have
Hmm.
that built into their software too, like a little spot where you can go, and it's actually really well done. It's pretty fun. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Besides that, we got some other launch games coming out, such as Destruction All Stars, Fortnite's coming back, Godfall, which I'm pretty interested in, but I haven't seen a ton of gameplay. And then even Sackboy. If you guys remember Little Big Planet 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
now they're coming out with Sackboy: A Big Adventure, which I mean, those games had my heart as a kid because of all the creator made levels that we would just spend hours playing.
Yeah, there was like that kind of stuff, and that's like why Mario Maker and stuff like took off. Because if you just have infinite replayability, it's like, oh, I'll just go
Yep.
on and play a bunch of new levels I've never played before. That's crazy.
Is there any other games that you want to talk about that are going to be coming out for the PlayStation 5?
Well, Deathloop is a timed console exclusive, and
Oh
I saw
yeah,
some of the
yep.
footage. Interesting concept if it's executed right. I don't know. It's worth looking at the trailer though. It might be something to interest people. But as for that, yeah, there's a lot
Well,
of third-party games.
when I was watching the showcase and Deathloop popped up, I was like, is this like another Team Fortress game? Just because it has the same graphics and same kind of
Yep.
look and feel as a Team Fortress game, but it does look like it's going to be very interesting, as well as the Hogwarts Legacy. I know that a lot of people are very hyped about that.
Yeah, my girlfriend will probably be getting that. She's really into Harry Potter and stuff, so.
So as I see it, that's like an open world Hogwarts Harry Potter type game where you create your own character and kind of go through Hogwarts on your own. And I mean, I
Some of
know
those
there's going
older
to be a
games are really
lot
good.
of people. What was that?
I said some of the older games, like, that had to do with Harry Potter, like PS2 and stuff, were, like, really good. They were
Yeah.
really fun to play and stuff, so. If they can capture that magic again, that'd be awesome.
Besides that, there's going to be some other AAA games that were known to come out, such as like Cyberpunk and Resident Evil 8,
Yep.
Resident Evil Village, it's called. That looks like it's going to be absolutely insane. And these games are going to run probably amazingly on the PS5, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Um, bes- Moving forward, we can talk about a new feature that the PlayStation 5 is coming out with, and that's called the PS Plus collection.
Yep, yep.
So all these PlayStation Plus collection games that were on PS4 are going to be available on PS5 for launch.
Yep.
And there's a lot of games here that if you haven't played and you get a PS5 and have the Plus membership,
Crazy deal.
instantly worth it.
Crazy deal.
Instantly worth it. You have hours and hours of amazing games that you can play here, such as, I mean, I'll just throw one of them out there. Last of Us Remastered. Boom. Already worth it. Ratchet and Clank, Persona 5, Uncharted 4. I mean, there's a huge list here. God of War, Final Fantasy 15, Days Gone, Battlefield 1, Batman Arkham Knight.
Bloodborne.
There's just a ton of games, and they're all very, very good.
Yeah, there's, I think, what is this, like 5, 10, like around 20 games? Not really, not like, you don't have like tens of thousands of hours, but like if you haven't played even 2 of these games, that's like, oh man,
Hmm.
that's like killer. Like, you mean God of War, Fallout 4, Detroit Become Human, like these are all like awesome games. Monster Hunter World is like crazy big.
Yeah, you can spend on probably as many hours as you want just on Monster Hunter Worlds. I was gonna say like a couple hundred, but you can
Yeah.
even go further than that if you want to.
It's
Even Fallout 4. I mean, hey, spend as much time as you want there. But this is only a feature that's coming to the PS5. This won't be included with PS4 Plus membership. And honestly, that made me want a PS5 just a tad bit more.
Yeah, like the games that are on here that would interest me that I personally haven't played would be definitely God of War, Last Guardian, and probably Batman Arkham Knight. Even though I think I've played that one before, and Resident Evil 7
Yeah.
actually would be really good to play. Those are the ones that like I'm like, oh yeah, that's a sweet deal. Like I would get it just for that. And I mean,
Yeah.
really, who doesn't have PlayStation Plus? Like, everyone has that. The same with Xbox Gold. Like, if you play online, you need it. So most people play
Yeah,
online these days.
at this point, I feel like if you have a PS5 or a PlayStation in general, you got PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
You're getting those 2 free games per month, and then PS5 gets this whole collection. They probably won't get 2 free games per month right off the rip, just because of this collection thing that's becoming available to people. But PS4 is still going strong with the 2 to 4 games per month, I should say.
But it's a little worrying because who knows if we're actually going to get our PS5s on launch day, anyways. There's a lot of issues with their pre-orders now that we can get into.
Yeah, so I listened to the showcase, and then they're like, "Oh, just so you know, like pre-orders are starting tomorrow, basically." And I was like, "All right, I'm gonna pre-order one tomorrow." Later on that day, people are like, "Oh, pre-orders are out. They're people are releasing them. Walmart started their pre-orders and
Yep.
everything." I was like, "Oh, okay." Later that night, I go to Best Buy, and it's like, "Oh, you can pre-order one." I tried, and I was stuck probably trying to pre-order this PS5 for an hour to 2 hours with no luck. And it just kept kicking me off and saying it was available in the store, then it wasn't available in the store, and I was like, "I don't know what to do. I just want the PlayStation."
Yeah.
But as of right now, if you go to any website such as GameStop, Amazon, Best Buy, Sam's Club, Target, Walmart, you can't find it anywhere. The only place you're going to find it is from scalpers on eBay.
And that's a bad idea to be buying off a scalper.
Yeah, so one of the things that you don't want to do is buy it off a scalper. They're selling them right now for $800 to $1,000, even more in some cases. And just wait. Just just be patient. You're still going to get one.
Yeah. Like,
And you might not get it the day it comes out, but there's still more pre-orders coming, and just please do not support these scalpers in any way.
and if you're one of these people that are like losing their minds at Sony or at any of the third-party retailers or even the scalpers, like there's a little bit more important things in life than getting your console on launch date. Like you can wait a week or two. It's not going to kill you. Like
Yeah.
just relax. Don't freak out over it. Just keep checking, and if you get one, you get one, and if you don't, then you get one a couple weeks later. Like don't freak out. Like you don't need it right away. So
And like they were saying for like Spider-Man Miles Morales, I'm not one thing I'm kind of confused about. So maybe you know the answer to this, Giga. Can you take the PlayStation 5 Miles Morales disc and put it into your PS4 and it would work fine?
I think
Since it's like same architecture and
I
stuff?
think the games go onto your account once you put the disc in, and then you could download it on your PS4. I don't think
Oh, okay.
it's.
Yeah, yeah, that
I
makes
don't
sense. That
think. I
makes
don't
sense.
think it's the disc. I might be wrong, but I don't think you can just slide the disc into both.
Okay.
It might also be you need to put the disc in to your PS4 and
Mhm.
then download the game, because it might be like you need the disc inside in order to prove that you own it still.
Yeah.
Because if you bought
Yep.
the disc and then put it in your PS5 and then it went on your account, you could sell the game and then play it on your PS4 or whatever, right? If
Yeah,
that's how it
I
works.
mean that's how it is right now with the PS4 anyway. If you didn't buy the game digitally and you have the disc needs to be in order for you to play it, even though you do like download data off the disc. Um, but anyways, PlayStation did respond to the massive amount of complaints due to pre-orders selling out instantly and not being put on merchants' websites in a timely fashion. They said, "Let's be honest, PS5 pre-orders could have been a lot smoother. We truly apologize for that. Over the next few days, we will release more PS5 consoles for pre-order. Retailers will share more details, and more PS5s will be available through the end of the year."
Yeah.
Now, this definitely was an apology that was worth mentioning to everybody because let's be honest, the pre-orders did not go smooth at all. All the websites were down and nobody knew if they even got one or not. I had a few friends that actually tried to pre-order at like Walmart and GameStop and they paid for it, but then they actually didn't get a console because just the websites were acting up so bad.
I think a big problem too is with COVID and stuff going on at the moment, like Sony and Nvidia and other companies that are releasing products right now, the demand is incredibly high, even though half your country doesn't have a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't think so many people have the money saved up or the money to spend on these new devices, like whether it be an Xbox that's $499 or a PS5 that's $499 or a 3080 that's $700. Like, you wouldn't think that people have all this money, and these big companies probably didn't think that their launch sales would be this high. Like,
Yeah.
Nvidia themselves stated this is more demand for a graphics card than we've ever had before, and the retailer websites stated that this load on our sites is equal or higher than Black Friday. Like, that is so much demand, and it's no wonder that these sites are going down because they're not used to this kind of traffic, right? Especially on an off-season time like this, right?
Yeah. And that's one of the things. Even Amazon went out and stated that they basically sent an email to anybody who pre-ordered a PS5 and said, "Hey, we're sorry, but we might not be able to send this out to
Yeah.
everybody on launch day. Like, you might not get this the day the PS5 comes out. And we're sorry about that, but we didn't expect this many people pre-ordering the game, so
And
or console, I mean."
Sony has said that they do have more PS5s that are going to be available, and they've even made more PS5s than they did PS4s in 2013. So, obviously the demand is just insane. The fact that they
Yeah.
have more PS5s on launch right now than they did PS4s, and it's still selling out like crazy. So,
That being said, there are rumors out that they were running into manufacturing problems when making these PS5s. Not sure the validity on that statement or not, but it has been circling the web right now that they were having problems manufacturing. Um, Another thing that's going on right now is the clear ratio of physical PS5s versus digital PS5s being sold right now. There's
yep.
stores that are getting 15 physical PS5s and only 3 digital PS5s. So yeah, they're basically saying, "Hey, here's more bang for your buck. Pay 400 for a digital PS5." But they're also saying we're making a fifth of these consoles digitals compared to the physical editions. So it's kind of hard to get your hands on a digital edition when that might have been your plan all along, and people are just going for the physicals anyway
Personally,
because
I think
they
this
want
is
a PlayStation.
This is yeah, like you just said there, it's definitely a marketing thing. Like we're gonna give lower stock initially to the cheaper
Mhm.
version, so that people that really want it are like, oh, I don't really care about the disc, but I really want the PS5.
Exactly.
Screw it, I'll spend the extra 100. And and I don't blame them. I really don't. It's a business, and you're trying to maximize profits. It's not really a
Yep.
scam because you can still buy the digital, just not this second.
Yeah, it's definitely a marketing tactic, and it's working because I guarantee you that half the people who said I'm gonna get a digital edition settled with a physical because the digital was sold out already. That being said, I mean these editions are selling out like okay, so September 18th at 6:16 a.m. Walmart threw out some digital edition pre-orders. By 6:24 a.m., they were sold out.
Yep.
9:22 p.m. they had the physical console pre-orders for 499, and within an hour they were sold out again. So it's just like you kind of have to go with what you can get your hands on at this point.
Yeah, and it's important to mention too that not just the PS5, both physical and digital, are available for pre-order if you can get lucky. Also, their accessories are
Hmm.
available. That includes their controller, which is $69, their charging station, which can do 2 of the DualSense controllers, that is $29. The Pulse 3D wireless headset is $99. The little media remote that they're selling is $30, and the camera is $60, and these are all available for pre-order right now.
I also saw that the Pulse 3D wireless headset sold out on Amazon, and they recently um, allowed for more pre-orders. So they are still selling these accessories. I almost thought about buying the Pulse 3D headset, just pre-ordering it before I even have the PS5 pre-ordered,
Yeah.
just because it was available to pre-order at that time. But I said I'll wait. I'll wait. I'll be patient about this
I
one.
think if you're a streamer, the camera is actually a really good deal. It's $60, which isn't too crazy, and it comes with
Mm,
a dual wide-angle 1080p lenses, and it has a built-in background removal tool. So it's like software-based chroma key if you don't
yeah,
even
yeah.
have a green screen. And the software for this initially, when it first came to PC, was pretty dog shit, but it's actually gotten a lot better now where you can actually emulate a green screen effect pretty convincingly as long as you know you're not swinging around and going crazy. You know, if you're fairly static, the
Yeah.
effect is pretty convincing.
So I wonder if that's something that you can just plug into your PC because I do need a new webcam, man.
I
And
don't
yeah,
think
that's a 1080p lens, and I don't need a background removal tool or anything. That's basically like the C922, right? Because that did have the background removal tool
I think the
included with it.
C922 was 60 FPS as well, and it's a lot more than $60. I think this PS5 camera is probably going to be comparable to a C920. It's just a little cheaper, and
Yeah.
it's. I don't know if it'll work if you can just plug it into your PC and it'll pick it up, but
I mean, hey, at this point, a webcam's a webcam, and they're sold out everywhere. So the PS5 HD camera works for your computer. Grab one.
I do want at some point to get like a nice DSLR and a mount and a proper camera setup, but I think that, is like, man, spending so much cash on streaming
Yeah.
gear when I'm streaming to, not that many people every night type thing. So it's like, God, I really want it. And it does look really nice, but it's like, maybe I should wait a little while until more things pick up before I spend the cash. Because I already do have a lot of money invested in streaming stuff.
Yeah, me too. I just bought an Elgato key light that alone was what $120, but
That's the
it's worth
small one,
it.
right? Not like the big one?
Yeah, I got the key light Air. I didn't get the actual key light. The key lights are impossible to find now just because they're sold out everywhere.
Yeah, aren't they like 300 Canadian, I think? So they're probably like 220 or something American.
Yeah, I think they're like 180 to 200 American.
Okay, yeah.
That being said, I mean that's basically what we have to say for the PS5. If you can get your pre-orders on the console, I definitely suggest trying to hop on that as soon as you can.
I think it's important to mention too, before we hop off PS5, is that the only difference that is aware to consumers right now, and I'm pretty confident on this, is that the $100 less digital only version is the same exact specs as the
Hmm.
$500 physical version. So when you look at it like that, an extra $100 over the Series S, pretty high performance for $100. Like, you can't really beat that kind of price to performance.
You get more bang for your buck at that point.
So, if that's what you're thinking, double the storage. Uh, some people might argue better games. I mean, that's personal preference, so I don't want to get too into that, but yeah.
Speaking about Xbox, they kind of threw flack at Sony and said, "Hey, we understand that you guys want to pre-order our console, and we're gonna give you exact times as to when all these retailers allow pre-orders, so that you're not having as a rough time as PlayStation had."
Pros
So
and
they
cons to
act,
this, though. Pros and cons. The pro
yeah,
is that you have
yeah,
more time to get ready. The con is that people that make bots for pre-orders get them all ready before they go. That's why Sony
that,
did such a, we'll do it tomorrow, boys. Get ready.
that is very true. I didn't really think about it that way. But if you want to get your wallets ready for a Xbox Series S or
Pull 'em up.
Series X pre-order, they open up on September 22nd. It seems like they're all 8 a.m. in the time zone that you live in. That being said, I think like all of Canada is 8 a.m. at the same time, right?
Yeah, 8 a.m. Pacific time. The same with the United States is 8 a.m. And you can
Mm.
get them in the States from the Microsoft Store, Amazon, Best Buy, GameStop, Walmart, Target, Sam's Club, Newegg, and other participating retailers. And in Canada, the list is a little smaller and more country focused, where you have Microsoft Store, Amazon, Walmart, Best Buy, EB Games, The Source, and then the other participating smaller retailers. Uh, the UK, as well as 8 a.m. BST, where you can get it from every country's the Microsoft Store, it appears. And then Game, I guess that's like a UK thing. I don't know. Amazon, Dixon's, Curry's, PC World, Argus, John Lewis, Smith's Toys, Very, AO, Tesco, Simply Game, Shopto, and other participating retailers. To be honest, haven't heard of most of those.
Yeah, it seems like the UK has a ton of different stores that are going to be selling this. I never once heard of Curry's PC World. That's new to me.
That's actually one of the only ones that I have heard of on there besides Amazon and Microsoft Store. That's funny.
But yeah, if you're getting this in Australia or New Zealand, it's all 8 a.m. in those time zones as well, AEST and NZST. Microsoft Store is selling them in all four, and seems like some type of EB Games or GameStop will be accepting pre-orders.
Yeah, EB Games is like a company owned by GameStop. I'm pretty sure. Like it's like a subsidiary that operates in different countries. It's not the States.
There used to be EB Games in my area, and it just literally changed its name to GameStop, but was the same thing.
Yeah.
So they're definitely the same thing, just based on territory, regions. But we do have breaking news, huh? With this, the Microsoft news that happened today.
Yeah, just today they acquired Bethesda Studio for $7.5 billion.
That's a couple $2-3.
This is a huge deal for Microsoft. So here it states that their team significantly expanded its list of game development studios on Monday, announcing the purchase of ZeniMax Media for $7.5 billion in cash. So this isn't stocks that they've traded. This is literally take the money from the bank account and hand it to them. The entertainment company owns several industry-leading game developers, including Bethesda Softworks, the maker of post-apocalyptic Fallout games and the fantasy series The Elder Scrolls. It also owns ID Software, known for its Doom, Rage, and Wolfenstein shooting game franchises. This move grew the number of in-house Xbox game development studios to 23, up from the 15 that they had prior to this purchase, giving it control of some of the game industry's most popular franchises. Microsoft also plans to run Bethesda as its own division, with leadership and structure intact. So if you thought, oh, Microsoft's going to ruin Bethesda now, no, the leadership is still the same. Everything is going to still be the same. It's just now Microsoft owns the company, so they have the profits type thing. Big news. That's huge news.
It's absolutely huge news. One of the things about this is, are Bethesda games going to come to PlayStation 5 now? Actually, the owner of Microsoft said it's going to be on a case-by-case basis.
I think,
so
from what I know, is that PS5's obviously been in development for a long time, and game development takes years. So there would be contracts already in place for games to come to PS5, which likely couldn't be voided by this purchase. So any game that's currently in development that plans on going on both will probably stay that route. But new games in a year or two that start development, they could be exclusive, man. We don't know.
It's going to be a sight to see. I mean, we got Elder Scrolls 6, one of the huge titles. Yeah, I don't see that being a Microsoft exclusive, like, no. It just can't be. And it just can't be, in my opinion.
Microsoft owns, now that they own the company, right? It doesn't matter, like, even if it's on PlayStation, Sony, and we'll still have to give, like, percentage of the profits, right? So when you think about it like that, well, it's kind of like, why don't we just launch it everywhere? Because then you force extra profits to go from PS5 owners still back to you.
And I have to make a correction. I didn't mean to say the Microsoft owner. I meant the Xbox boss here, Phil Spencer. He's the one who said that it's going to be on a case-by-case basis.
CEO and founder, Phil Spencer. That's funny.
But yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know. This news came out of nowhere so suddenly today, and everybody was freaking out about it. But I'd like to see where Xbox takes this. They own now, what is it, like 23 studios inside of Xbox?
That's a lot of studios, man.
And I mean, I think they're making some power moves here. Like that's an actual power move.
Now, obviously, a deal like this would have taken a good bit of time, like months or potentially even a year, to completely hash out. But the timing is pretty convenient that they just lost the bid for TikTok, and now,
Mm-hmm.
like, not
Yeah,
even
that's
that
true.
much, not even that much longer, they bought Bethesda. And, that would be a lot of money to deal out in like a week if they were to buy two big companies. So maybe
Yeah,
they were doing the TikTok thing and then it fell through, and this was their backup plan for continuing profits. Maybe they
that's
wanted to do both.
exactly my thoughts. If I feel like if they bought TikTok, they wouldn't be buying Bethesda.
Yeah,
Or
TikTok.
or they could have done the double power move, and everyone would have been like, "What the hell is Microsoft doing? How much money do they have?"
Yeah, Microsoft has a ton of cash, so it wouldn't really surprise me. I mean, their Game Pass just hit 15 million subscribers, which is, I mean, that's a lot, man. Like, I actually got a thing from Discord because I'm a Nitro subscriber, and
Hmm.
like for 3 months of free Game Pass on PC. Like, the fact that they have this kind of Game Pass thing and it's doing pretty well, and not every game is a hit. There's a lot of games on there. Not all of them are AAA, and not all of them are games you're going to care about. But it's
But
pretty
there are
cheap.
some very good
Yeah.
games.
This news came part of the press release announcing Microsoft's purchase of ZeniMax Media and Bethesda Softworks. Video game streaming has been a bit of a tough sell for some, as a lot of gamers still prefer purchasing physical copies of software. However, it does seem clear that Game Pass is becoming a very enticing option for a lot of people, and it seems that this will become more likely in the next generation console. So,
See, this is where I would like to have a debate. I feel like I don't care anymore about physical copies just because the digital downloads, having them completely ready at your system for midnight on a midnight release, or whenever you just want to play it, you go to the store, buy it, download it, boom, there you go. I do have this good feeling of holding a physical copy in my hand, but at this point, digital is so much easier, and I'm not going to trade it in. I can't trade it in. I own it forever. So if I ever want to go back and play it,
you have.
I can just hop back on and play it.
No,
If I have a physical copy, I'm almost like, I kind of want a new game. I can just trade this one in for another one, you know?
I do understand the resale argument, which is a good one to have. Like, if you have a physical copy, you can sell it and get
Mm,
some of the money back. The digital is convenient for us, but not for everyone. And the fact that if your internet sucks, having to
yeah.
download a 100 gigabyte game could actually take weeks. And
Hmm.
that's just like, holy shit, man. Like, I just want to play my game. Just give me the disc. I'll just slide it in. And if that's the case, or even some countries and ISPs have data caps, so if you only can access, let's say, I don't know, 500 gig a month, you're like, oh, dude, do I really want to download 60 gigs for my game right now? Like, I might like go over my data cap this month and just be cut off completely or throttled to like nothing.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. I One of the major points is if you're buying, especially if you're buying a digital system compared to a physical, is do you have fast enough internet?
Yeah.
Because the digital editions, I mean, there's no way for you to do anything unless you download. And with the new Call of Duty coming out, I could imagine that's not going to be a small game.
Over 50 gig for sure. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
Warzone's huge, so we'll see.
I could at least see it being like 80 gigs or so. I mean, it has a full story, and the multiplayer is going to be pretty big too. So it it could be upwards of 100 gigabytes for
Although,
launch day, possibly.
because how the new storage architecture works, they can actually make games a lot smaller and still maintain high quality because of it's pretty technically detailed, but
Yeah,
just based off how they've actually changed the architecture, will allow game developers to make games smaller and more compressed because they
well,
can
that's good.
compress the data much further and still access it really quickly because the SSD is so fast. Whereas if you were to do that on a standard 5400 RPM hard drive found in an Xbox or a PlayStation 4, man,
Mhm.
you can't compress it that much because it'll be way too slow to try and access it.
So Game Pass is actually doing pretty well. I mean, if you have 15 million people subscribed to that service and you're getting $5 to $15 a month,
How,
depending
how much
on,
is it if you get a year at once?
yeah, that's what I was saying. If you get it yearly, it is cheaper. I'll actually look into that right now. But um, that's the thing about Game Pass. I mean, you can pay, I think, $5 per month for PC, or you can get the Ultimate Game Pass where you get it for PC and Xbox, and it gives you Xbox Live. So, I mean, you just can't go wrong with it.
Yeah. The issue too with the digital is now that you're spending all this money on buying your digital games, which obviously is still the same price as the physical, but now you might have to upgrade your storage because, even a terabyte isn't a ton, and 500
Hmm.
gigabytes found in the Series S, you're going to fill up very quickly. And now you're looking at spending the over $200 on the expandable storage solution. Like, dude, that's a lot of money. That adds up quick. So,
I actually, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I actually did just find out that Xbox Game Pass for PC is doubling its price. So now, beginning actually a couple days ago, Game Pass for PC is now $10 a month instead of $5 a month. So
I,
that's good to know.
I
I'm
wanted to
glad I
mention
found
this,
this.
and I'm glad that you brought that up because it reminds me a lot of what Netflix did, where they brought a ton of good shows that people wanted to watch for a really low price, and then they got everyone hooked on it, and then they raised the prices to make more money. This is the
Yep.
same thing Microsoft is going to do, where Game Pass today looks like a great value, but in 2 years, if your price is doubled than what you're paying a year, it's like, man, is Game Pass really that good of a value anymore? We'll see if they do that, but it's a company, man. It's all been making money, so
Yeah. So Xbox Game Pass 12-month membership is selling for $120 for a year.
U.S. dollars, right?
120 US dollars, yeah.
That's a
But
lot. That's a
that's
lot.
giving you, I think that's giving you the, no, I don't even think that version gives you the Xbox Live with it, does it?
That's a lot of money to spend if you don't also get the live, because live's 60 a year, is it, or 50?
Live is 68 a year.
That's a lot of money, man. If you got to spend $180 to get Game Pass and live for a year, like
Hmm.
that adds up pretty
That's
quick.
why those are better to do on a monthly basis, in my opinion, because then you can say, "Oh, I haven't been using it this much. I'm just going to,
If you are someone who plays the Game Pass games every month, then it makes sense to get the yearly stuff. But if you're someone who's like, oh, I don't really game that much, I'll just get the monthly. If it expires, if you only play your console twice a week or something because you're just a really busy guy,
yeah."
like whatever, man, just get the monthly if you want to play the Game Pass games.
And the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, a 3-month membership, which that gives you Xbox Game Pass on your console and your PC plus Xbox Live for 3 months. That's $45. So that's kind of worth it. I mean, I
Yeah,
would rather just do Game Pass Ultimate because then you get the Xbox Live Gold bundled into it as well.
yeah, and and we do have some more news on their expandable storage that we can get into. So just like previous console generations, PS4, Xbox One, you had to use USB to plug in. Well, now since
Mm.
it's NVMe drives, there's proprietary stuff for the Xbox side, and they've teamed up with Seagate, popular hard drive and SSD manufacturer, on a 1 terabyte expansion card that supports their Velocity architecture. And a little bit of technical detail here, but it's made of 4 key components, which is the custom NVMe SSD, hardware accelerated decompression blocks. So that's kind of what I was talking about with they can compress the data more and then
Okay.
get it quicker. And a brand new direct storage API layer, another way of accessing the data faster, and a sampler feedback streaming, which again another separate way to access data faster. They really do want to get this data quick. Velocity architecture will allow the Xbox Series X to deliver performance beyond the raw specs, virtually eliminating loading times. Is the quote here. So it's a combination of features that ensure developers get the best performance out of the Xbox Series S and X. For now, it's the only SSD that will support next gen games, though you can use a cheaper drive for older titles, so similar to PS5, as well as the storing Series S and X software. To play the latest releases, however, you'll need to shuffle them back onto the console's internal SSD or use the Seagate Velocity architecture expansion card. So you can use like a cheaper drive and plug it in to their external proprietary thing, but
Yep.
you can only store games on it. You can't play them off that. So every time you want to play, you got to swap a game from your internal to the external and then take that external to the internal. And that could be a bit of a pain depending on how long that process takes. If it's under 5 minutes, no big deal. But if it's like, oh man, this is gonna take like a half an hour, that would be a pain in the ass. But we'll have to see how they do it, and if it'll probably be pretty quick. I mean, these are fast drives, so
Yeah, I was wondering if they're going to have simple ways to do like to swap games on and off of the expansion card that you would add to your Xbox. Um, if they kind of make it visible on the UI to swap them in and
yeah.
out, it could be a seamless thing.
And
Um,
especially if it's like quick, if it's under like a minute, like holy, that'd be awesome. But like I said, if
oh,
it
even
takes a
if it was
while,
under 5 minutes, I wouldn't mind. Like, oh, I just got to switch off the game on my SSD. It's gonna take 5 minutes. I'd be like, all right, whatever.
yeah,
Like,
you just go to the bathroom and get a drink or something, like no big deal. But like I
yeah.
said, if it, if it's 15 minutes, that's like, oh dude, like that's kind of a pain every time I want to swap games, But we'll
That
see,
being
we'll see.
said,
It should be quick.
the price point is going to be kind of high for these expansion cards, which kind
20
of sucks because for the Xbox Series X, if you're only getting 512 gigabytes
S
on,
Xbox Series S. You
what did I
said
say?
X. You said X.
Oh, S. If you're getting the Xbox Series S, which has 512 gigabytes on it, you kind of need one of these expansion things. And if they're going to be costing upwards of around $200 or more, right now people are seeing images of them costing for $220. Then, I mean, hey, you might as well just get an Xbox Series X if you're going to be using all the space anyway.
Exactly. And like, let's 220, not a ton. Like, that's not a ton of cash. Most people can put that on a credit card and pay it off over a few months type thing. But like, if you're like, man, I'm gonna need this anyways, get the higher performing X. Like, you're
Mm,
just gonna have a better time. And especially this console generation lasted 7 years, 2013 to 2020. If this one lasts, let's say 5 to 7 years, like what's 100 extra bucks over 7 years, man? Like,
yeah.
come on. Like, I know it's a lot of upfront money, but when you look at it in the long term, it just makes more sense to pay the little more upfront, and it'll just do better time over a long period of time.
I guess it really depends on how casual of a gamer you want to be. If you just want to come home after work and throw a game up on your TV, I mean the Series S really makes sense.
Yeah.
One of the big points that I hear people talking about is the mom that wants to buy their kid a new console for Christmas, but isn't too tech savvy or knows too much about consoles. They go to the store. Oh, this console's 500. This console's 400. Ooh, that console's
One sec.
$300.
Just keep
I'm
going.
going to
I'll
get
be
the
back in a sec.
$300 console. And it really shows that the Xbox Series S could really sell better than you think. Because I mean, especially during holiday seasons, I feel like the Xbox Series S is going to get a lot of sales compared to the Series X and the PS5 just because of the price point and the fact that, I mean, hey, $300, get your child an Xbox Series S, you don't got to worry about it.
Yeah, I think I assume what you just said, where ignorant parents will buy a cheaper console because they don't know about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair, really. It is, so. So yeah, sorry, my landlord had, he dropped a
Oh, it's
package
okay.
off for something I ordered.
It's okay.
Do you want to
Um,
hop into the COD Alpha, first impressions?
yeah, so one of the things are we have a huge amount of gaming news in today's episode. So this is more like for the G.E.S.T Podcast, it's more like G podcast because of all the gaming news that we have. We're very light on the esports streaming and tech today, but we can go on forever about gaming. And one of the things that PlayStation Showcase actually announced was the Call of Duty Alpha was available last weekend, and I played it for way too long. I put a lot of hours into it. I have a lot of recorded clips, and I'm excited for everyone to see how I dominated with a sniper rifle in Call of Duty Alpha.
Are you gonna be posting those on Twitter or YouTube or something?
So I'm actually getting I took a bunch of clips of like basically 20 or so games that I played, and I've been going through them and grabbing some kills and clips and highlights and stuff like that. And I feel like it's just going to be basically like a sniper montage, but it's going to showcase the sniping in Call of Duty Cold War, because honestly, that's probably one of my favorite things. Sadly, the developers mentioned that they buffed snipers on purpose because they wanted to test them out. But just keep them how they are, because oh my gosh, did it feel so good.
The sniper rifle ADS time is instant. It's like an assault rifle, so it's insanely
Yeah,
strong to quick scope, to the point where at medium range, assault rifles can't compete with someone who can aim properly with a sniper rifle. Like literally, the time to kill on the sniper is just instant. Like you click dead, because they're just hit scan weapons, right? So there's no travel time for the bullets.
yeah. There's no travel time for snipers. Um, on Cold War for multiplayer. Maybe for Warzone they'll add the bullet drop and such.
Yeah. So I saw a lot of good sniper clips on Twitter from like pros and stuff that were just running around, just clapping, dude. Like I'm talking like 15 kills in like 20 seconds quick scope and like multiple collats, like spawn traps
Yeah.
and stuff. Like actually wild clips, and you're like, holy shit, dude! Like this guy's insane. But the lead developer, or one of the developers of Call of Duty, said that we've intentionally made snipers powerful in the alpha because we wanted to see people's reactions. We will be tuning them back down to a more reasonable level.
I hope that they're still basically like, I hope they don't nerf them too much, because I feel like even when I was being sniped at, like I still had the chance to survive because they weren't one hit kills from any body part that you shot. I mean, if you shot below the belt, it was still a two-shot kill. Um but just the feeling of these sniper rifles is unlike any other Call of Duty game that I played. I mean, it takes you back to like the Modern Warfare 2 days
Intervention
where
sleight of hand, yeah.
exactly. Um that being said, there was a few maps that were available for the alpha. Satellite was probably one of the maps that I played the most, which was the desert landscape with a fallen satellite as the focal point of the map.
Wait, isn't that
Um,
like Array in Black Ops 1? There was a map, I
you
think it was
got
in
me
Black Ops
thinking now.
1, where it was like, I think it was a DLC map, and
Mhm.
there was like it was snowy, and you had this huge satellite outside. It, like, it kind of reminds me of, what was that map called? Summit in Black Ops 1?
Summit. Yeah, there's
But,
Summit. Yep.
but, like, there was another map in COD. I gotta look it up. Call of Duty Array map. Uh, yeah, it's literally called Array. It's in Black Ops. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'll send you the a link here on Discord so you can take a look at it so you can remember. Yeah, it's literally just called Array.
Oh yeah, I see what you're talking about. That's like a satellite tower type thing. This is like a satellite that was in space that fell into the desert.
Okay, that's way
So
different.
it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the rubble of the
Okay,
satellite.
okay, I got you. That sounds sick.
So that's like basically for domination. Like that was the B point, and it was one of the main hard points to contest, because it was like the main focus of the map. But I spent most of my times out in the dunes, because there's one really cool thing about this map. It combines short, medium, and long range battles. If you go to the left side of the map or the right side, depending on what place you spawn, there's the dunes that are very open, but then you can also take cover behind them to the point where it can become a very close range battle. There's trenches that are by the dunes where that's very close range, up and close for SMGs, and then there's up um, by the satellite where there's the caves and the satellite itself that can become medium range battles.
Okay.
I thought that map was actually designed very well.
Is it still the same classic COD where you have like left lane, center lane, right lane, and then like a line through the middle?
I feel like they kind of taken out the three lane concept ever since Modern Warfare, because the three lane concept didn't really exist in Modern Warfare except for like a couple maps like Shoot House, for
Yeah.
example. That was a three laner. Um, but Satellite is kind of just very open. There's not necessarily three lanes. It's just a very open map with a
Kind of
lot
like
of different ways. I would kind of say it's like a five lane, if anything, just because of all the different routes you can take.
so not. I was thinking like you said open map. In my mind I jumped right to Wasteland MW2, which is just like a literal wide open map for snipers to lay prone in ghillie suits.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. That was a Call of Duty 4 map as well, and that was like the remastered version. But yeah, that is a very big open map where, I mean, sniping's prevalent, and Satellite's one of those maps where you can really test the sniping. Miami is a more of a medium range map, but there are a couple long range fighting points, such as like the balcony of the hotel, and on the other side there's a window of like the tourist building. So there's some good sniping places. Even if you go to like the beach in Miami, you can snipe all the way down that.
Okay.
But that's definitely more of a medium range map. And Miami is honestly pretty cool because it's set on the South Beach. There's neon signs everywhere, and I mean you're fighting on the streets in between cars and such. So I really thought that map was very creative. Probably one of my least favorite maps was Moscow. Um, that was it's like a dreary Moscow looking city, and I feel like it's more of a close range map more than anything. There's a lot of tight corners and such, but the Moscow map, I mean, if you're running around with a SMG or a shotgun, it's a lot of fun, but it's kind of hard to produce much with a sniper or an assault rifle for that.
I think the really nice clips I saw were all on Miami.
Yeah. Yeah, Miami was definitely one of the main focal points for the Cold War Alpha. I feel like it was either between Satellite or Miami for the maps being played.
Okay.
Then there's the 12v12 mode that you were able to play, which had two different maps, which were Armada and Crossroads. And these introduced vehicles.
Okay.
So if you're on Armada, there's boats and jet skis that you can hop on. And if you're on Crossroads, there was snowmobiles and tanks.
How powerful were the tanks?
They were pretty powerful. If you're the driver, you can only shoot the shells, but you can have a guy on top with the LMG.
Is he exposed or is he inside the tank?
Oh, he's exposed.
Okay.
He's exposed.
I was like, oh, well, what if it's like BF3 where the guy's inside the tank as the gunner?
Well, one of the attachments that you can get for your guns actually increases your damage to vehicles by 250%, 200 or 250%.
That's crazy.
So it gives you an opportunity to take down vehicles like that a little bit easier.
Okay.
I thought the Armada map is definitely one of the most unique maps because you're fighting on boats. You're fighting on three large boats, and then in between the boats are smaller boats running around. And you take zip lines to go from ship to ship, and you can control these gunboats and get into battles on the water. Another thing about this Call of Duty is there's swimming. The swimming's back from Black Ops 4, where it didn't exist in Modern Warfare.
Yeah. So overall, like, what would you rate the game right now? Like, if the game launched right now and it was the full price, what would you say?
Yeah, so if the game was still in its alpha state and it launched right now, I would honestly enjoy the shit out of it, to say the least, because I enjoyed it a ton just playing the alpha. Sure, there were a couple complaints, but I didn't have any major complaints. So like out of a 10, I would say it would be a solid like 7 or 8 just in alpha state because I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
Um there were only a couple game modes that we were able to play, such as like team deathmatch, domination, kill confirmed, and later on the second day of the alpha, they added hardpoint in, which is my favorite game mode. So that was a lot of fun, even though there's only 4 points in the rotation, which is a small amount. I don't know if that's just alpha that they only put 4 points in, or if this Call of Duty is just lessening the amount of rotations.
Hmm. I don't know.
But then I mean, I can go on talk about this forever. The guns feel extremely different in this Call of Duty. I feel like they have a bit more recoil as compared to other Call of Duties.
The flinch thing, how much did that help you? Like, did you notice that there was no flinch when getting shot at pretty quickly?
I honestly didn't really notice. Like, I didn't. I know it's a thing now, but I never really like took it in
It might
as
be
like
the
a factor.
it might be the kind of thing where you like it's so consistent and everything feels so good that you don't really notice it, but if it was there, you'd be like, oh, this is so frustrating. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
God, well, he shot me first, so I couldn't hit a single bullet now. Like, come on. I don't know, but and you mentioned that you had skill-based matchmaking is kind of a pretty heated topic. It was even trending on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
I'm not too sure on your take on it. I'm pretty aggressive on my take, but let's get into that a little. Like skill-based matchmaking, pros, cons. How did it feel in the latest Call of Duty for you?
Yeah, so when I was playing the alpha, you could tell that skill-based matchmaking was a thing, and there would be games where we would win, like destroy the other team, and then the very next game we're facing a whole new lobby and they're ready to murder us. So it's like we really had to step it up to the next level because the skill-based matchmaking would kick in, and it was basically a sweat fest at that point. But in my opinion, that made the game feel more alive for me. Like we actually had to try as a team, and to get the win, it wasn't just easy pulling up daisies kind of thing here.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing for me, especially as a Siege player who mainly plays ranked. Skill-based matchmaking is in every game mode in Rainbow Six Siege, but there's more variety in the ranks when you play unranked. So
Hmm.
you don't actually have like a set. You don't use your ranked MMR. You have an unranked MMR. So it's kind of like a different system where
Yeah,
the game
that's
still
like Rocket League.
knows how good you are, so it won't like play you against like total noobs, but it will, make sure that you're not like playing pros either. And that
Hmm.
level of skill based matchmaking I find good. It's in a more of a casual mode, right? And it's not nearly as extreme. Like I'm not forced to play people that are plat 3 or gold 1. They might be silvers or they might be plat or they might be gold. And it's a bit more random, but it's still not. I'm not playing a guy who literally this is his first game. You know what I mean? So and that kind of gives you more of that variety feel where
Hmm.
you're not always stomping, but you're not always getting stomped. It's pretty fair. And and I have a big problem with people against skill-based matchmaking because the only argument that they really ever give you is that I just want to play casually. I don't want to try. Like I shouldn't have to try. And well, I understand that you might not sweat nearly as much in a casual mode. You know, just because it's casual, there's people that are going to go in there and try and pub stomp. This is
Yeah.
literally every Call of Duty ever made. And they've only become more competitive as more gamers have gotten more serious with games. You can't expect like let's say okay, let's take a perspective from a new player. Let's say you're 20 years old, you never really got into games too much, or maybe you played a different genre, and your buddy's like, "Hey man, like the new COD's out, like you want to pick it up and try?" And you're like, "Yeah, okay, sure." And you're like literally awful at FPS games, like you suck. And so you go in solo to play a couple for yourself. And if you hopped into a lobby with no skill-based matchmaking, you have the same chance of playing elite players as you do playing garbage players. If you hop in and your first 5 games, just through luck, because if there's no skill-based matchmaking, it's all luck. Your first
Mm.
5 games are against amazing players. You're gonna be like, dude, like I couldn't even get a kill, man. This game sucks. Like I don't want to play this. Like this is awful. And I understand that. Like it's a big reason why smurfing is such a big problem. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, skill-based matchmaking can't eliminate smurfing because the game thinks, oh, new account type thing, like they don't have any stats on you yet. When I first played Siege, there's a beginner playlist, and I was pretty good on PS4, like level 175, whatever. Whenever I swapped to PC, I was pretty good mouse and keyboard already. After 20 games, I had a 27 kill death ratio. 27. I literally was unkillable. Every game I played, I would go flawless and we'd win. And then the game, I leveled up to a certain point, and the game was like, dude, this guy is nuts. Like we can't let him play these people anymore. I was just bodying people. So
Yeah.
the game put me into lobbies with better players. And obviously my stats leveled out over time. And I'm not bodying everyone like I was then. Could you imagine if that kept up and I just kept bodying people? Like that's no
Yeah.
fun. Like getting absolutely destroyed as someone who sucks, that's just not fun, dude. Like that's horrible. And that's why you need skill-based matchmaking. And I'll never understand this mindset of you don't want to try and you don't care. So if you don't care, Why does it bug you when you lose or get destroyed by people that are trying? Like,
Yeah.
if you're not trying to win, you should always lose. That's how I feel, and no one can change my mind on that.
That's a good point. If you're not trying to win, you should always lose. That could be a gigabit quote of the year there.
Right on the back of the shirt, bud.
Can inspire people for years. But honestly, I feel like there should be more of a casual playlist. And I think the best thing about Call of Duty, especially the Black Ops series, is they implement the ranked leagues and the ranked gameplay that you can go in and
Yep.
increase your rank, face better people, such and such.
Yep.
But I wouldn't mind if there was like a just like, oh, here's casual team deathmatch where we throw anybody, or even the difference between casual and ranked is casual has a bigger MMR difference, and then ranked has a smaller MMR.
I think they should do it like Siege, like, you know, where the it's a different pool of rank, so it's a different skill-based matchmaking system where the range of players you play against is larger, but it's still not like, let's say you're middle of the pack. You're still never going to play the worst players, and you're still never going to play the best players.
Exactly.
That's I want that middle range where you're not always getting destroyed, but you're not always destroying. They still got to be fair around your skill. And if you are an elite player and you're going casual, you're still going to play the best of the best, as well as, you know, lower, more average players. You know, I get not wanting to, you know, get destroyed every time you queue up the game, but at the same time, man, like I said, if you're not trying to do well, why do you expect to do well? Like, literally, though. And another thing I have too is the mindset of, oh, I'm not really trying, I'm not playing meta. That's great. Yeah, you're not picking a meta pick. Maybe you're not playing the best gun in the game. That doesn't change your aim, though. That doesn't remove your game sense. You still do all these things, like, in your conscious. Like, you don't even know you're doing it. Like, when you play and you're running around a map, and you know this map, and this guy who's brand new to the game doesn't know this map, that advantage alone can win you that game. Like, that's huge. If you're like, oh, I know the spawn point's over there, even if you're not trying to win, you're not even trying to play that good, you still know, and you're still going to play off that knowledge that you have. You don't get stupider and worse at the game because you're not trying. You know what I mean? Like, you can't not have skill-based matchmaking because it actually destroys new people's, like, idea of the game. And the Apex Legends developers have stats that show that 80 to 90% of players benefit greatly from skill-based matchmaking in their games.
Absolutely.
To the point where it's okay to hurt the 10% elite because they know that these elite players that have this, in my opinion, a poor mindset or a lazy attitude are still going to play the game because they've played 1,000 hours. They're not going to quit now. They know they got them for good. So,
I mean, hey, we can go on and talk about skill-based matchmaking for an entire episode if we wanted to, but we do have some esports streaming and tech that we want to talk about. This is going to be our break. I know it's just the gaming section, but we're going to take a quick break right here, and then the other half of our show is just going to be esports streaming and tech. We've been streaming for over an hour now, right?
Yeah, hour 8 minutes so far.
Yeah, so we got a little bit more to talk about between esports streaming and tech. It's not a ton, but hey, we still got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we'll power through this important news for you guys.
All right, everyone. So we're back for G.E.S.T Podcast. We're going to talk about esports streaming and tech at this point. We don't have too much going on in the esport world except for the big news that the New York Subliners have added Clayster to their roster. So Clayster is going to be playing alongside Zuma. Clayster was part of the champions, the Dallas Empire, for the 2020 year. And once they released him, he became a free agent and hopped on the New York Subliners. So I'm interested to see how the New York Subliners is going to do in 2021. If there was a COD League team, I would probably choose them just because they're nearest my location. And I mean, I'm a fan of Zuma. And I mean, hey, you throw Clayster in the mix there, we got an all-star team. Besides that, there was a couple more additions. So Atlanta announced the signing of Arctics. I don't even know how to say his name.
Maybe
I'm
it's
probably
Arcidius.
butchering it. Arcidius.
Maybe. I don't know.
So Atlanta FaZe signed him, and then the Minnesota Rollcore announced signing of Preston Priesta Greiner, Michael Major Maniac's Maniac, Dylan Attach Price, and Lamar Accuracy Abidi. So that's a big roster change there for the Minnesota Rocker.
It's like a whole new team.
Yeah. Besides that, that's all we really have for the esports. The CDL for Call of Duty is going to be coming soon. 4v4. I'm excited to see that happen. And hey, let's move right on to the streaming section.
Yeah, so we got a few little news pieces here. There wasn't anything too crazy. I mean, there's still the drama with Twitch and their ads, but they haven't really changed anything yet. So not really a whole lot to talk about with that. But I have a story here from Wired about Twitch streamers making thousands of dollars streaming while they sleep, which is against TOS. And I'm curious why Twitch allows this, but maybe they're happy with the money that they're making. Anyways, moments before falling asleep live on Twitch, streamer Matthew Mizkif Renato thought about how pissed off his mom would be if he told her that he made money while sleeping. She thinks I do nothing now, Renato joked to his live viewers. Wait until she finds that I literally slept and made money. He enabled a bot on his stream that allowed viewers to submit videos if they made a cash donation, and then he went to sleep. On the top right of the screen, the clips played on, but most of the display was taken up by him resting on his back or on his side. Many hours and many cringy videos later, he woke up $5,600 richer. To show that he wasn't blind to how the whole stunt came off, Renato gave a Nintendo Switch away to one of his Patreons. So, you know...
wait, that's just patrons. That's not a Patreon. Now that I'm reading it, I was like, wait, he doesn't even have Patreons. It was just one of his viewers.
Okay,
basically.
well, still, he gave a Switch away to one of his viewers.
Yeah,
I mean that's like a $400 hit off a $5,600 stream. So,
not even.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. Like, who are these people that donate this stuff?
So we had Miss Pizza here last week, and she was talking about the sleep stream, and then we have news of Mizkif literally going to sleep and making $5,600. So maybe she's on to something. But it just goes to show how people will. I mean, listen, they want their videos to be shown on stream of a guy sleeping, so they're donating money, and this man wakes up $5,600 richer. I'm about to go to sleep on stream like tonight.
Literally,
you guys just do what you want.
Yeah. If I could sign up for that, probably would. Even though I don't think it's a great idea. Maybe I'm a bit of a hypocrite, but maybe if I could make some cash out of it, then I would. I don't know. Okay.
Just have Giga sleeping in the background. Another little segment of streaming news going on right now is Logic is actually upset that his what is it called? What is the word I'm looking for here?
His music? Are you talking about
the recording
record label?
The record label. Jesus, I couldn't think of the word. His record label won't let people stream his music for free. So Logic actually put out a tweet that said, "Too many of my gaming homies, Ninja included, have wanted to play my music during stream and on YouTube, but UMG won't let me," which is the name of the record label. "I want to give to this great community and allow them to use my music for free. This is beyond a dollar sign. I want the community to enjoy my music." So, I mean, that just goes to show that, like, artists, like, want you to stream their music and they don't care about the price. And, it's more of, like, a record label thing.
Could also be to a bit of a publicity stunt. If you think out a little, if he knows that it can't change and he can't change it, tweeting this out removes blame from the community from him and pushes it all on the record label, and it makes him appear as a really good guy who doesn't want, this money or whatever. He wants to support the community. And it very well might be true, but at the same time, tweeting this out gives him a very positive community response, and it shifts any blame people have on him to the record label. Overall, very positive for him, even if nothing changes and he still keeps making the same amount of money.
He has the people's support at that point, and he supports the people as well.
Yeah. So regardless, I mean, those are the words that he said, and you can interpret them however you want. But it does appear that he wants the community to be able to use his music for free, and he blames the record label for not allowing that.
Yep.
Anyways,
Um,
we can move on to the tech stuff now if you'd like. I don't think we have any more streaming stuff to discuss.
yeah, so basically, I mean, like I said, we were kind of light on the esports and streaming side. We're also kind of light on the tech side, but we have a little bit more to talk about. It'll probably be like esports and streaming combined at this point.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, hey, gaming took us over an hour to talk about, and
There's a lot of
I mean,
news.
there is some news in the tech world too. So let's just hop into that.
Yeah, a big issue was with the 3080 launch. The graphics card selling out within. I mean, it says here within a minute. It was within seconds on some websites, within 5 seconds, with bots purchasing their entire stock. Do we blame Nvidia for this? Yeah, they could have done better bot protection. Newegg, however, a retailer, has had bot protection in place and didn't allow bots to purchase the card, and they were still legitimately sold out in minutes. So, the bots might have bought out a lot of cards from legitimate buyers, but I think these cards are going to sell out within minutes, regardless of these bots or not, from how it seems. And there's a lot of people on eBay selling their cards for $2,000, $2,500.
Yeah,
Absurd prices for 3080s, like much higher than MSRP. And as well as there's a lot of people that are countering the scalpers by putting absurd bids like $10, $15, $20,000, preventing people from buying them because no one is legitimately going to pay $30,000 for 3080. Like that would be beyond the realm of stupidity. But
and
anyways,
this is where the patience comes in. Just hold tight.
it'll come.
More graphics cards are going to become available. Don't try to get that $2,000 Founders Edition 3080 when you can just wait a couple weeks, wait a month. More cards are going to come out. And I think even people were saying that Nvidia is trying to get a hold of some of these sales from the bot like scripts
Yeah, so Nvidia
that
has
have been,
put in like a protection now, and I don't think they're going to be shipping these scalpers any cards, but we'll have to see.
which I mean that brings up a huge point. If they're scalping and throwing it up on eBay and someone's buying it, then hey, they just paid $2,000 for a card that, I mean, the scalpers are going to get taken away from them and then they'll never get it. So that's going to cause some more frustration on the eBay front as well for those people who decided to fall for the scalpers.
Yeah, which
You
I mean,
deserve that. You
it's
deserve
crazy.
that. If you're buying a $2,000 card and the scalper gets it taken away, try to get your money back, but realize that you made a dumb decision anyway.
You can get a 3090 for underneath $2,000 on launch. So,
Yeah, exactly.
like, come on. Anyways, yeah. So that's pretty big news with that. Their new Crisis Remastered has come out, and it has a game mode in it. Well, actually, I don't think it's out yet. It's I think it's still in alpha, but there's some early testing from Linus Tech Tips, for example, has the game, and he's tested it now. And on the Can It Run Crisis settings mode for video settings at 4K, the RTX 3080 can hardly run the game. It's still in alpha, so obviously performance might increase over time as they put out some more updates. But right now it's about 25 to 30 FPS or lower in some cases, playing it on that mode. And yeah, it's made more to be a tech showcase. This is RTX real time ray tracing in a very visually beautiful game at its most intensive it's ever been. And it'll still bring these new cards to their knees, which means that, hey boys, 3 years from now, new cards come out. There's still more performance to be had at these settings, man. Like, it's crazy.
I just can't believe that you can throw a 3080 on with everything else on your computer being high, having an i9 and stuff, and it's like, yeah, run it on the highest settings. You'll get like 30 frames, but it's gonna go dip down in certain parts. It's not gonna be a steady 30 frames, but your game's gonna look amazing. Just so you know.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like visually, the game can look the best it's ever looked, but if your frame rate sucks, then the game's just gonna be like, oh man, this game looks like crap because it's so stuttery and everything. Like you can't enjoy that, So I'd rather do. They did test it at more reasonable settings, and the game did perform well, 60 and above FPS with like almost no stuttering anymore. So yeah, if you turn your settings down a little, even at 4K, you can still crank the game pretty good. But otherwise, it's a really tough time.
So somebody who tested this out used the RTX 3080 and i9 10900K. Is that how
Yep,
you say it?
10900K.
10900K and Asus ROG Maximus 12, 16 gigabytes of G.E.S.T Trident Z 2133 megahertz RAM, and a Samsung 970 Evo
They only
M.2.
used 2133 megahertz RAM in this article that you're looking at.
Yeah, it's kind of weird actually as I'm reading it.
That
But then
would
they used the
definitely bottleneck.
M.2 SSD. They had the AIO coolers, so they're liquid cooling their CPU. And cranked to the max, they were just available to get 30 FPS with that dropping at times.
There's
That being said, it is very weird that they decided to use 16 gigs of 2133.
especially G.E.S.T Royal, which clocks at like 3200 to 3600 to 4000 megahertz, depending on the kit you buy. I think that might be a typo. I really hope that they didn't actually run at that speed, because that could be a bottleneck. And now you might think, well, I looked at that article there, and there was a comment, and it kind of made me think that he said that the game was coded poorly. And perhaps that might be true. Perhaps that there's a lot of performance left on the table, even at those high quality visual settings, because the game is just poorly optimized. I mean, it's still in like an early alpha state that was just released to, bring a bit of hype around it. So there might be some big performance patches that are coming to it before launch, and hopefully that's the case, because it does suck to see such a high-end graphics card completely pinned and running a game like crap. But
Yep.
anyways, we do have Big Navi news, RDNA 2 information on AMD's Big Navi GPUs. So rumors from tipster at underscore ROGAME, so RoGame, recently revealed VRAM specs for the two upcoming big AMD Navi GPUs. The Navi 21 GPU is set to feature 16 gigabytes of VRAM, which is 6 gigabytes more than the current 3080, while Navi 22 sports 12 gigabytes of VRAM. These numbers are interesting since both SKUs appear to beat the current NVIDIA Ampere RTX 3080. However, there are rumors that RTX 3080 might be getting 20 gigabyte variants. How much that matters for gaming? Anyone who knows, that doesn't matter that much. Even modern games right now, like even Crysis, it wasn't running at 10 gigs. Anyways, I could get more into that, but it's a little technical. Anyways,
Yeah.
an earlier leak by GamerMeld claimed that the flagship Big Navi GPU would be named the RX 6900 XT, and that this flagship part would beat the RTX 3090, not 3080, at least in certain gaming workloads, which means rasterized, probably not ray trace, but rasterized standard lighting techniques. This rumor has yet to be confirmed or backed up by benchmarks, so take that with a grain of salt. However, the recent VRAM spec leak indicates that, at least on the video memory front, Big Navi GPUs will enjoy a considerable advantage over the RTX 3080. With 20 gigabyte variants of the RTX 3080 planned, however, this advantage could evaporate before the Big Navi cards even hit the market. So, what we're looking forward now is to seeing some concrete benchmarks at 4K. If the RTX 6900 can at least match the RTX 3080 in rasterized workloads while costing less, it should make for a pretty compelling choice for gamers more on a budget. And some estimated performance figures go, the AMD RDNA 2 GPUs are now expected to integrate 72 compute units with 20% higher clock speeds, leading to around a 195 to 225% performance increase over their current RX 5700 XT, which is the GPU I have in my system right now. So if they can actually go like double plus performance on their current 5700 XT is probably the only card that AMD sells right now that's worth any money. Vega 56, 64, not really worth any money. 5700 XT is a little better than a 1080 Ti, so that kind of gives you some performance if you only know NVIDIA stuff.
I was just going to ask you if you were going to head for the new AMD graphics card or switch to NVIDIA, but you have an AMD right now, right?
Yeah, I think my plan that, I've been thinking about a little, I've been keeping up on this stuff, obviously, and I think my plan now is to see what AMD comes out with and see concrete results, and then make my decision after. The 3080 for 700 US dollars, it's going to be about 1150 Canadian after tax for me, so that is a considerable amount of money to spend. I want to make sure that I'm spending my money on the best product that I can get. Now, AMD is going to have to make a big push on the side, because for me as a streamer, NVENC encoding is very nice, and AMD doesn't have an encoder. Like, their encoder doesn't work. It actually does not function properly, so it's unusable. And I don't know when they're going to fix it, or if the new graphics cards are going to support anything better for it. But as of right now, it's unusable. And it would be awesome if I could do NVENC, which does look better than a medium preset X264 for streaming. So that's kind of where my head's at for that, personally.
Well, that's the thing about having an AMD CPU is, I mean, you can encode using that CPU and you shouldn't have any problems, right? Compared
Yeah.
to an Intel.
Well, the thing is, it's, on X264, it's all about high core count. And Intel high-end stuff, they have a good amount of cores down and a high clock speed. You should be okay. But I have a 3900X, which is 12-core, 24-thread. Clock speed isn't crazy high, so a bit of performance loss on that. But it streams beautifully while I game, and there's hardly any performance and noticeable loss. And it wasn't too expensive. So,
Yeah.
I think that CPU was, around 700 Canadian. So
I
that's
I think when I build my computer, I'm going to be doing AMD CPU and then NVIDIA GPU. That's just how my eyes are set right now, because I would like to encode using the CPU, maybe throw a liquid cooler on there or something. And
well, the reason why
that's the thing about the AIO coolers. They're pretty cool. You can just kind of hook them right up to the CPU.
Yeah, it's easy.
I mean, basically plug and play at that point.
Yeah, I think people do greatly underestimate NVENC, and there's still a common misconception that CPU encoding looks better, and that was true 2 or 3 years ago. But now, new NVENC is designed with game streaming in mind, whereas X264 was designed for movie production. So it's subtle, but for X264 streaming, the main encoding time is in the middle of the screen, whereas the sides are slightly blurrier than the rest of the center of the screen because it was focused for movie design. So NVENC, being focused for gaming, is focused for high frame rate streams, and it gives the same amount of priority to the entire screen, and it has better the way that it handles movement, like fast movement in games, it keeps the stream looking smoother than X264 handles high movement, because in a movie you don't typically have stupid fast movement, but in a game, when I flick my mouse and I turn around, like, that is like so quick, and that's really blurry looking. But NVENC is designed with that in mind, so it does handle streaming better than X264. So
Yep. I mean, hey, that being said, that's the freaking G.E.S.T Podcast episode 3. We're looking to have a guest on the next podcast. If you know someone, let us know. But we'll be searching. And I can't wait for episode 4. This is a weekly basis, and we're just going to keep at it. I'm having a great time doing it so far. TommyNaysh on Twitch, stream 4 times a week. How about you, Giga? When you streaming?
I stream about 5 days a week. Never on Mondays now, and not normally on Thursdays, but the rest of the time. Oh baby, we're right there. Let's go.
Oh baby.
All right.
That being said, that's the G.E.S.T Podcast. Everybody have a great night, and we will see you next week.
Peace out.